Hi and welcome back to another Alpha Challenge video. In this video I'll be breaking down IMBUE Druid. The idea behind the deck is to use Hammer Runetotem. It's just got to be in your deck, and then you've got to use the rest of your deck as nature spells to be able to get its effect to be playing, and then each time you use one of your spells it ends up boosting up your hero power, which then is like the Jade golems of the past. What you're looking at doing is you're looking at using Sing-Along Buddy in combination with your hero power to be able to create a big and massive board swing. You've also got the new 3-mana minion that allows you to draw 2 extra cards if you've imbued twice, which is quite good. Cards you're looking to mulligan for is Living Roots. You're looking for Bitterbloom Knight in particular because it's really strong for your game plan. Amirdrassil. It's quite strong in terms of drawing extra cards and also getting extra value. Trail Mix is generally quite good. Symbiosis is one of the cards that you're also going to want to be keeping. And Horn of Plenty also is quite a good card, but it also depends on what other cards you've got. If you don't have any 1-drops in your hand, you don't really want to be keeping Horn of Plenty. Another card that's quite strong is the new 1-mana minion as well, which when you use your hero power, it allows you to have a rush effect onto your golems, so you're able to trade more effectively with that onto the board. In general, the mini set expansion has made IMBUE Druid quite a lot stronger because of the fact that you are able to get these massive board swings going and things like that. Going into the gameplay, it's currently turn 4. I'm playing against another IMBUE Druid. They're in general doing a little bit better than me in terms of their spell count and things like that, and they did just get a Trail Mix down onto the board too, so I am in a pretty rough situation in terms of this fight because of the fact that I am only summoning 3/3s with my hero power at the moment. It's not a particularly strong situation for me to be in, so I do just stick a taunt onto my 3/3. I don't really want to be doing too much else. I did make a slight misplay in that sort of section, kind of. It didn't really actually affect it because I could have done it onto the other minion if I wanted to be able to get the extra 1/1 onto the board for stats, but it doesn't particularly matter too much. They did just get their 4-mana location, which once again is another quite strong effect that's been added into the mini set. Because of the fact that you get 1 extra mana back, you refresh 1 mana, and then you're also drawing extra cards, which this deck has a lot of difficulty with, is definitely one of those sorts of things that makes it quite strong. Luckily for me, they don't really have too much that's happening for them with that 6/6 play that they just did. I'm not too worried about that. I do end up trading my 5/6 into it so I can create a bigger golem to be able to go face with. And then since they're down to 6/6s, like, my board is quite weak to a Ysera Awakens play, because if they end up clearing this, it does mean that I'm not in a great situation since they have so many more cards in me. And unfortunately for me, they do end up having the Innovate, which allows them to use the Ysera Awakens. The only thing that's quite good for me in this situation is the fact that I don't have... they have an empty board, but since they do have all the special cards from the spell, plus the fact that they have the location on the field is putting them into a much stronger position than me. I do end up just hitting the hero power. I'm at a 5/5 at the moment, so I can trade if I need to into some of their minions, but it's not going to be a particularly strong trade. The Ysera Awakens in general can be quite strong for me as well. Obviously, as you can see, it is not looking that particularly strong for me since they do then also get a Sing-Along Buddy, and they've also got 8/8s coming out of it as well. With the location too, it does put them into a relatively strong position as well. I don't really like that trade they just did then. Like, it is a waste of the rush minion in all honesty, because of the fact that they do know that I have Ysera Awakens in my hand, and I only need to do 3 damage to that 8/8 that's on the board to be able to get a full clear onto it. It's not particularly hard, but it's also not particularly that easy. And they end up using a bunch of their different spells and things like that to get their full effects happening. they use the Dream onto the Sing-Along Buddy, which is obviously quite useful for them. I do draw into my own Sing-Along Buddy here as well, so I use the Ysera Awakens to be able to get most of the board cleared, and then I use the Dream to go onto the 8-8, which is now the 8-3, because of the fact that if they won't want to use that, won't want to drop that out of their hand, but also I need to establish some pressure onto them, because they obviously do have the bigger minions than me, and if it comes to a clean sort of battle, they'll obviously end up winning quite easily from that. They end up using their Petal Picker, which is one of the newest strong cards that's been added into the expansion, which allows them to draw, and fortunately for me they didn't end up getting anything to help them. Since their board ended up becoming quite weak, because they didn't have any sort of way to clear that board, the AoE, because they'd already used the Ysera Awakens, it put me in such a strong position that it was quite unlikely they would be able to do much. In this hand, I am going to keep all of those cards because with the new location, it is obviously quite strong. Innovate is a bit of a bait, to be honest. It's not the strongest card that you're wanting to have in your hand because of the fact that you don't get enough value coming from it in terms of if you use it quite early, you won't get you run out of cards a lot quicker. The reason why I kept it is because of the location that I have. I will be able to use it alongside the location to be able to draw some extra cards going into it, so it's not a terrible idea to have it there. Plus, using the location now and then using the Innovate, I can use another Trail Mix going into the following turn to then be able to get some more spells and things like that coming out. So I end up using all of my different cards that are in my hand. My Golem obviously is getting quite strong as well, and in general Rogue isn't that strong going into Druid because of the fact that they don't have too many strong AoEs to be able to deal with the minions that you end up summoning, and in general you can outvalue that sort of board that they have. If they end up getting quite an aggressive board, that's obviously the time that you end up losing. I use the symbiosis first here just because of the fact that it's a 1-cost spell, and if I found something that was more useful, I would have been able to use that instead. I ended up getting the warrior one because of the fact that it could clear most of the board. In general, you're wanting to try and establish your board while up-trading into what they have. And since I'm getting a lot more of these imbues happening, it does mean that I've got quite a strong setup going into them. I end up getting photosynthesis as well in this hand too. I do trade my 4/4 into the 3/3, and then I can use the photosynthesis if I wanted to be able to trade as well. My hero power is currently summoning a 6/6 as well, so I do end up using it. I end up getting it so I can use it, and I use the location to draw me 2 extra cards. I drew Horn of Plenty, so last turn I could have potentially used photosynthesis onto the 4/1 to be able to make sure that they didn't clear my board, but getting the extra Divine Shield down onto the board is obviously quite strong as well. They end up getting a rush minion, fortunately for them, but it's not particularly doing too much. Like, I can still trade quite effectively into what they have here. I use the Horn of Plenty to be able to search for different cards, and I'm going to choose the Handle the Bear because of the fact that if I need extra taunts to be able to deal with what they have, it's quite a strong card to be using. Then I use my hero power and I give the buff to my newly placed hero power minion, just so that I can trade into the board that they have. I do trade into the 2/3 just in case they end up getting some sort of steal that's happening for it, and I just trade the 6/6 into the 2/3. It means that their board's entirely cleared, and I'm not too worried about them being able to uptrade too well into me. They play down their Cinder Sword, and then they don't really end up doing anything after that, so it was a bit of a waste of a turn for them. I'm assuming their hand is quite poor, but they did end up roping me out for that turn, which was a little bit annoying. I use the photosynthesis here on myself just to see what cards I end up getting. I did get the phenomenal, the 5 mana spell to be able to use, and obviously it's going to make my board a lot stronger. So I play that down to get the extra 1/1 onto each of my minions, and then I can use the living roots as well to deal damage to them as well. And with the board that I have, I am sitting in quite a strong position. The only thing that they could really do is use the new legendary dragon that creates the board, which they do end up having, and then with the 1/1 that they have, unfortunately as well for them, they end up getting quite good spells to be using with the flame strike and the 2/2 damage happening as well, and the living mana, so they do get quite a lot of the different things that they need, and it does put me a little bit behind where I need to be, but in general I still am sitting in a relatively strong position. And with the 7 mana spell that I got, I could have, like, it would have obviously been quite strong to use it if it had got me one of the damage things that I needed, but obviously it didn't. And I chose Spark of Life here and then chose the Mage spell because in general Mage has quite a few spells that you can use to shoot face for your opponent. And unfortunately for me, I did whiff that as well. I have the Wrath in my hand as well. I do obviously have quite strong minions that are here too, so I end up just playing down the sing-along buddy and using my hero power, because it's quite unlikely they will be able to clear the 2 10/10s. The only way they could really easily do it is by using Dubious Purchase, and they don't have enough damage currently on the board to be able to take out my guys. They end up using the Web of Deception to be able to get their guy back onto the board, and then they use Dubious Purchase to be able to, and it does clear one of my 10/10s. Once again, I'm sitting in, a perfectly fine position, so they end up just conceding because there isn't any way of them clearing my board properly to be able to deal with that. And then, yeah, obviously it's game over. If you've enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe, and bye for now.